There's a, in my first experience in August of 2008, when I was like coming back into myself enough to actually pay attention to things and articulate my experience and feel a boundary between my inner world and the outer world, when I hadn't just emptied out into it, as he describes. I had this sense of parachuting back down through the layers of the atmosphere and looking around and having enough time, now that I'd sort of like rocketed up and was kind of coasting through my return, to notice that the sky was gridded over, phenomenally. It was gridded over with this green web, and that everything was like I was inside an enormous greenhouse. And there was this sort of moment where I was like, oh my God, outside is inside. And then a couple of years later, I got into, Jungian psychology. And one of the things that they talk about there in terms of like dream interpretation is how the dream house is your own mind. And then, if you follow like channeled writings like, Jane Roberts' Seth and stuff like this, there is this organization to reality and to the various states of consciousness, such that the waking consciousness is actually precipitating out of the dream state, like silver nitrate in solution, and that the dream state is precipitating out of this larger manifold of all possibilities, this sort of cosmic plenum of potential. And so in a very, from that perspective, the waking world, where we are dividing our experience into a self and other and an inside and an outside, is sort of a concrescence or a gel that is occurring of and within and from this more fluid substance of mind, matter, material experience. And we don't really, the reason that we don't have the sufficient language to describe this is because our language itself emerged within the social evolutionary context of describing this gross physical existence. But I hold out that we will evolve as our own sort of mundane state of consciousness shifts along with our hyper-connected new planetary selfhood. A new way of talking about that thing which is currently translinguistic. I mean, most of what we talk about now was translinguistic 100 years ago. So I don't think it's categorically beyond words. I think the words grow to fill the space of our consciousness. And as we grow and we grow to develop and articulate a more precise and sufficient map of our reality, then so too will we have this, what is currently for most people like a trans-egoic language, where we recognize as inner and outer as this dyad that like necessarily precipitates out of this sort of lower state of being.